Hello, everybody. Welcome to part 2 of explaining You Met in the Foliage. Before we start, you may notice two big differences regarding the actual Bandcamp page. One, you'll notice that there is no longer a draft next to the name of the album, and that is because it's finally released. When I upload part 1, it was released, but I recorded it before it was released. So I'm recording this now once it's released, and you'll also notice that there's an extra track, Mayfield's End, Nothing Unto. I'll get into that later, and I might give it its own video. You know what? I'll give it its own video. Never mind. So in this video, I'm going to be explaining side 2 to You Met in the Foliage, which includes all songs from Is That Your Poverty to Everything's Okay for Now. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's get into it with Is That Your Poverty. Now, this was the first song I made for the record that I recorded. Like, this was the first finished song, and it was the first one that I released as a single because I was so happy to have recorded a song for the record that I just couldn't wait to put it out. Other than that, this was like a turning point. This song, I think, was the biggest turning point between when this album was Crazy All Part 2 and when it was You Met in the Foliage. Because Crazy All Part 2, and even like early versions when it was called You Met in the Foliage, were all supposed to be live recorded on that keyboard. All of the parts of the songs were supposed to be live recorded. And this one was the first one that I made, or at least they were supposed to be all written on there. This was the first one that I made entirely digitally. I wrote it entirely digitally. Other examples that come to mind of this are Timber Skins, Your Birds, and Everything's Okay for Now. Those are the only other songs on this record that were fully written digitally and didn't have a version. It didn't have demos on the piano. I'm not going to release those demos because they're very bad. But yeah, this was a big turning point because once I made this, I realized Crazy Y'all Part 2 is not the type of album I want to make. There were very few showcases of just normal songwriting on that. It was supposed to be a very abstract, very difficult to listen to album, and I realized that I didn't really want that. I wanted a strange album, and I think I came out with that, but I didn't want it to be nearly as strange as I planned Crazy All Part 2 to be. This might actually be a good situation to tell you what I wanted Crazy All Part 2 to be in the beginning. So, as you know, and this is true with Love Tale, I really like long song titles, or at least I did. It's not so much apparent on You Met in the Foliage, but it's very apparent on Love Tale. And here's the original track list for Crazy Out Part 2. Started out with The Real Sickness, parentheses, Are You Scared You Have It, with my emphasized words in full caps. Next is The Story of a Man Named Salip, parentheses, capitalized the I. You can see how some of these song titles actually made it into the final album, which I kind of like. Open parentheses, You Shouldn't Control It, open parentheses. A Brief Explanation of Echoes, parentheses, pages 10 through 12 don't matter, end parentheses. Have You, ... colon, interruptions 1 through 4, end parentheses, colon. ... found it yet, question mark. You, parentheses, open parentheses, came, open parentheses, for, and open parentheses, the intermission, then 3 end parentheses, aka part 2. Plot holes and synesthesia descriptions from the hit song I Want a Pet Mouse by Somebody You Forgot. As big as a front lawn, parentheses, as small as your bird, end parentheses. And yeah, that was supposed to be a track list. So as you can tell, this was supposed to be a very different album with very different things. If I read you the what the songs were supposed to be, let's give it as an example, a brief explanation of Echoes, pages 10 through 12 don't matter, was supposed to be, quote, the sound of someone knocking on your door and asking you if you've seen them before repeatedly, with violin music in the background playing on an old radio. If we go to what The Real Sickness was supposed to be originally, it is, quote, a single bass line with strange sounds and voices in the background. The bass line deteriorates. A Man Named Slip was supposed to be a spoken story of the last man on the planet who accidentally slips and falls, accompanied by the first part of the first Love Tale song. So that was supposed to be where the riff comes back. So, as you can tell, this was crazy. When this album was Crazy All Part 2, it was not supposed to be an album that you listen to for fun. And that's why I hated making it. I hated making the album when it was Crazy All Part 2 because it just wasn't fun. I think You Met in the Foliage is as it turned out, and how I made it and the time that it took to make it was so much more fun than it would have been if I stuck with the Crazy All Part 2 idea. And this song, the creation of this song, made me realize that it's so much more fun to write songs like this than it is to write songs like they were supposed to be written in Crazy All Part 2. But anyway, that's an explanation of what Crazy All Part 2 is supposed to be, and without further ado, let's listen to Is That Your Poverty?
Solve all your problems today.
You can kind of tell that this was the first song that I recorded because my voice is a lot higher and also a lot rougher when singing, especially in the verse.
Is that it? Solve all your problems. Come on, solve it. Solve all your problems today. Fix all your problems.
But the purpose of this as a first single was that I wanted to shock people with a drastic change from Love Tale.
Solve all your problems today.
And I thought that this is the beginning was a good stark contrast. You can hear my chair squeaking from me standing up from it to record.
I've got a headache, you snap forevermore. You aren't mindful, but I always want to take control. Leaving the girls, I'm better off without me. You can't afford cars, is that your poverty? If you stuck with...
Okay, so expanding on that chorus, most of what I talk about in this song is my complete disdain for people who fake depression and fake struggle for attention. That's most shown in that line, you can't afford cars, is that your poverty? It's kind of taking this very in comparison to real poverty, it's taking this very small struggle, and the person that we're talking to in this song is taking that small struggle in comparison and making it seem to other people like it's just as bad. And it's the same way when you're talking about depression. I'm not claiming to ever have it. I'm not claiming to know what it's like. I used to be this way. I used to try and fake it for attention. And it's taking like small sad things that happen to you, like maybe you broke your phone, or maybe you lost maybe you lost like $100, maybe you got pickpocketed. I don't know. Just those are bad examples, but just something sad that happens to you, and then trying to misconstrue that to other people and say that this is depression for the sole purpose of attention. And there aren't that many purposes other than attention that really justify faking something as big of a problem as depression. It's just that it's become so mainstream of a problem. It's become so mainstream to be depressed. It's become so mainstream to be an angsty teenager that nobody gets, and and I just hate that. Mostly because I used to be friends with those kind of people, and I used to be that kind of person. And looking back now, I know I'm young, so I can't really say that I have grown up out of that. Sometimes I feel like I haven't fully gotten out of that. But just looking back on as little as less than a year ago, I can see how much of a mistake that was. Because it completely altered people's perception of me and perception of my emotional identity. And I'm afraid that some of the people that I was very close to had not made that realization yet. And people are those people are very toxic until they make that realization that this strive for constant attention is not good. So I thought that the best choice there was to completely distance myself from those people so I'm not dragged back in. And I hope that once they realize that, then I can come back. So, to some people I have, to some people I haven't. And I think that was a good choice, although I could have left a bit more smoothly. I think that was my main mistake. It was that I left in such a way that it made people think that I hated them, which means that I could not go back. So I should have clarified something. I think that was my main mistake, which is what you can hear me talk about in the song about leaving people. And you can also hear me talk about in the song the future and how I hope to reconnect. But anyway.
Yes, I would be a child, hide behind your hair, fight for your smile. Now that I left, I feel refreshed. Planes overhead don't carry threats. Don't worry, son, we'll stay alive. You will survive, your dad wants you to. Down in New York, it gets too cold. You grow too old to move somewhere warmer. Like your dad always wanted to.
I think I made a joke about that during the live concert performance of this song, or at least after it. My dad was in my room as I performed the entire thing, but my dad was sitting over on my bed during the performance, and I realized, he's gonna think that those lines were talking about him, and he was going to immediately know that what I was saying was a lie, because he loves cold. He loves the cold, and he loves New York, and he would not tell his children to move somewhere warmer. So I had to clarify that line was not about my father in the live performance of the song. I just remember that because I think it's
Do things the way you're taught. Music is only machines in a bus garage. Don't try to be the next Diamond. I've got a headache, you snap forevermore. You aren't mindful, but I always want to take control. Leaving the girls, I'm better off without me. You can't afford cars, is that your poverty?
okay. This next song, Horiath. Now, I have a funny story and an explanation for this song. I'll start with the explanation. So, originally there was supposed to be an album by HTTPS after this one that would come out, like, of course, once I finished it, or like soon after I finished it, just like this one, called Novello, and I was planning to release that, and I was planning to release this song in it. I wanted to basically make a Microphones album, right? And this song is very much inspired by I Want Wind to Blow and The Gleam and songs like Carl Blau from Microphones albums. In fact, this song, just like the songs on Crazy L Part 2 that were supposed to be made, was recorded entirely with the instruments on this synthesizer right here. All of the parts were live recorded with click track. If you actually listen closely, you can hear that click track in certain parts, and I decided I'm going to keep that in because I like how it makes it feel homemade. So yeah, this was originally supposed to be on the next album, and in its place was supposed to be the song Mississippi, which was supposed to be another big song. It was supposed to it was supposed to be a song after The Boys Are Struggling, actually, and Is That Your Poverty would change spots. And it was supposed to tie in with the end of Crazy Y'all Part 2, where it would be like Crazy Y'all Part 2 references Love Tale, and then at the beginning of the song, it yet again references Love Tale with those mangled violins, and then leads into My Mindset after it. But I think I talked about this in the first part, and I'm not afraid to write songs about other people as long as what I'm saying about those other people is purely observational and also does not share too personal of information about the other person. And Mississippi, the way I wrote it, was supposed to be kind of about another person making me the villain. and me making them the villain. And in trying to write from that perspective of villainy, I kind of broke that rule, right? And I also kind of didn't like how it sounded. So I decided that I would cut that and just replace it with this song, Horiath, that I really liked. And here's the funny part. Hold on. Let me actually get it. A couple of Christmases ago, in preparation for Love Tale, my brother got me a box of CD jewel cases that were blank and a ring of 80-minute CDRs. Now, if I had included Mississippi instead of Horiath on the album would have been over 80 minutes, which would not have fit on this CD because it was like 6 minutes 50 seconds. But since I replaced it with Horiath, it ended up being an hour, 19 minutes, and 23 seconds, which is 37 seconds short enough to fit on these CDs. So, in the end, it was a great choice to not include Mississippi, because if I hadn't, I wouldn't have been able to make a limited run of CDs for the album. So that's the funny part. And I always tell that story when talking about Horiath. I'm gonna put this stuff back. Well, I only tell it to like my friends, and I only say it once. If like I've already told them the story when talking about Horiath, of course I won't say it again. But anyway, here's Horiath. It's definitely one of the most rough and also one of the most overexposed on the record, but I like that because it's similar to the overexposure that happens specifically on the drums in a lot of microphone songs. And I don't think it's too much to where it takes away from the song. I think it has that charming low quality aspect to it.
Much meaning, it all wants to be its last. I can't be the only one that didn't heed mine own warning. Play in the garden where the browns, grays, and blues hold me down. As you step onto the liquid, your sacred breath is now only lost. Truly wicked, my anger is only not to faults. Hold my face on your arms, are you like a secret? Of the staircase, this is you at the start of one's sentence.
You can kind of hear a distinctly different writing style. I was trying to
one as a person and take
I was trying to be as different in writing this song from You Met in the Foliage as possible, because I wanted Novello, despite how much I really like this album, I wanted Novello to sound a lot more both what's the word I'm looking for? Much more connected. Like this album, I feel, is very all over the place with different song styles right next to each other, and I wanted Novello to be a lot more connected in the style of its songs, and I wanted it to be a lot more mature in its writing style. Like, of course, I couldn't control the maturity on some of these songs because I had written them so long ago. I wrote some of these songs a year from today ago. So it's really it's kind of difficult to go back when you've already recorded the songs. And my brother one time gave me the advice that once you're done with a song, once you've made a song that in the moment you're happy with, you should try not to go back and rewrite it. Because then you'll continuously go back and be like, oh, but I can make this so much better. Which is why once I made what I was happy with being a final draft in the moment of recording it, I saved it and I immediately put it in the draft version of this album. Because I didn't want to go back and try to rewrite some things. And in some songs that means that there are a lot more mistakes and there are a lot more things that now I think I could go back and make better, but I know that it's not right to. It wouldn't be correct to go back and rewrite them. Because each of these songs is supposed to be kind of like a moment in this year, which I've been 13 in, right? Each of these songs is about an aspect of this year of my life, you know? So I don't want it to seem like those parts of my life I'm going back and editing, right? These songs, as I talked about, were made in a wave of inspiration to make a song. And I don't want to hinder that wave with revisions, I guess. The song is finished. I gotta just go on. He also said another thing, that you have to move on from the song because in a year you'll hate it. Which I wouldn't go as far to say hate, but definitely a year after releasing a song, you will see more problems with it when you originally made it. So I took his advice, and I think that all these songs still turned out good. I think the album still turned out good, but it was just so much easier following his advice there, because I did not follow his advice on Love Tale, and that wasn't really that fun to make. So, I'm continually growing as an artist.
Leave them all at your worst. And you let it go. And you let it go.
kind of just wanted to make like a groove, sort of, at the end of this song. And I think I really made something that I really like listening to there. Especially with the organ sounds going like. You know, I really like that when it goes up and then like wah, wah. You know, as for the line, "And you let it go" at the very end of that, you know, I just wanted a line that would. No, of course I was thinking, okay, what line could make this could like hit hard enough to be on the same level of the big bombastic finish, and I was like, do I really need something that's that deep? I feel like this song is very much stylistically a departure from the rest of the album. Maybe it could be a departure from the mindset. Maybe this Is That Your Poverty is kind of like being angry at your past self of your mindset in side A, and maybe Horiath is you coming to terms with it and saying, I need to let it go, right? And so I think that the rest of the album is my mindset after that point. It's after letting it go. Here's after letting it all go and just like letting go of that anger that I have towards my past self. Here's what I think about it now. And that's when we move on to All I Love Eternally You. Now, this song was actually written by my brother. My brother just walks in one day. He sits down there. He picks out an organ sound, and he just plays this chord progression. And I recognize the chord progression because it was the same chord progression used in the beginning of "Ode to the Front Lawn." And he was just like, "Tell me that you love me," and he made this like cool, like sort of similar to those like cheesy 80s ballads that were played on the similar synthesizers. And he made that. It was sort of like it was just like a cheesy radio ballad from like the 80s. And I was like, okay. Because he's done it multiple times. He's done it multiple times when he's walked into my room and just made a song, like improvised it. I was like, okay, I like this one. I'm going to take it. And so I did. And I made it into a song, and You Met in the Foliage. This one was the first one that I attempted to record. I recorded like official demos for it. But it was not the first one that I recorded the final version of. I think that this one was the third one. Because I definitely recorded Is That Your Poverty, and it was either All I Love Eternally You or The Real Sickness that I recorded after that. I want to say I recorded The Real Sickness after. I'm going to say I recorded The Real Sickness. So this was the third one that I ever recorded for this album. You can hear at the beginning that riff from Love Tale, which is another reference to Love Tale. Because this is about the same thing as Love Tale, but it's no longer about me and her. It's about another guy and her. It's about me thinking, okay, I'm done with this. I hope that he is able to get what he wants now. Because at that point, all that I wanted was to just not be in the situation anymore. you can hear me my adverse reaction to the loudness of Is There Poverty in the Real Sickness, wanting to record the vocals a bit quieter this time. I should say that this is my least favorite song on the record.
Even now, after it's left, I still think that you could be mine. So tell me that you love me. It is all I need to hear. Tell me that you love me. Hold me close and bring me near. I've been looking for somebody for as long as I have known. So tell me that you love me. Apparently that's how I'll grow. Is that who
So,
I am to you?
this part of the song is kind of just like me recreating what I was like back then. And then later on in the song, you'll hear a piano solo with some not so subtle whispering. And then you'll hear the final chorus, which is what I think now.
Some things last forever. It would be him if there was anybody that deserved you.
That's like the first sign of my thoughts on it now.
One step forward, two
Because I was thinking the same thing even back then.
Seeing that I can't be, maybe I should just leave town. So tell me that you love me. It is all I need to hear. Tell me that you love me. Hold me close and bring me near. I've been looking for somebody for as long as I have known. So tell me that you love me. Apparently that's how I'll grow.
There's the not so subtle whispering. Although I am kind of impressed with myself that I was able to make this piano solo on this small of a keyboard. Like, this was not live recorded on my keyboard. This was made with a 2-octave MIDI keyboard. Literally C to C to C. Not that much space.
He's begging you to love him. He might live if that's what he hears. He's still stuck watching your body, hopelessly hoping you're near. He's been waiting for somebody. Come on, tell the story, slave. Tell him that you love
I could go back and change anything about this album, I would have made that final chorus a bit more bombastic, or I would have made none of the choruses in this song sound big. I feel like either one would work. Just like maybe adding a like choir sound to the final chorus and making it sound a bit bigger, or just making none of the choruses sound big and keeping in that like dreamy sort of state would have helped that, because I feel like somebody out there has to agree that like that ending chorus was a bit anticlimactic. But still, I don't think it's bad enough to ruin the song. So yeah. Next up is Have You. And despite me recording Is That Your Poverty first, this song was the first one that I wrote for Crazy All Part 2 and this. You might know, if you're a devout fan of all my work, that I have a comedy rap group with my friend Kendrick, who's been featured in a lot of my videos, called the Fart Baskets. And he came up with the name, of course. And on our first EP, I Hate, we're working on a second one that might come out soon. If we could schedule a recording date, because there's so many Fart Baskets now. There are like 4 of them instead of just us 2. And I want more people on vocals. So we had this big song on our debut EP, like the biggest song on the EP, called no, never mind. I defaulted to telling the story of Crazy All Part 2. Anyway, the final song on that was called The IRS. And it was supposed to be this funny thing, like how we hate the IRS, and it was the story of me getting chased down by the IRS for not paying my taxes. And at the end of it, I decided to include a little bit of an Easter egg for people who listen to the entire thing. I decided to include a small, more serious piano ballad. And then the plan was for Crazy All Part 2 that the song Have You, titled there, was supposed to be an extension of that. And so that idea stuck with me, mostly because it was fully written and I was proud of it. And now it's here, live recorded, and it actually has 2 parts, both an extension and a prelude to the next song, The Illusory Fair, which I'm still debating how I'll approach that one in this video. But anyway, here's Have You.
I haven't done something in 4 whole years, and it's come to stab me in the back. SPQR, I don't know who you are. Sit back and relax as my brother plays guitar. You're invoking fear into my ears, and I am not that far. The C key has seen better days. Gone out on walks without those words. I stress there's 3, it seems to me.
That's a reference to those 3 words from Semi-Silent
I
Symphony.
used to be, but something like a lurking seed is sleeping in the hay. But I'm tired of these voices saying I could do much better than this. And I'm telling you she's okay, she's just pretending to be depressed. Something's telling me my arm has never been this sore before. And you're the one. one I can't forget. I'm sorry that I let you go. back tears. All your memories on holiday, making up then breaking up. For God's sake, I'm taking up your deal pre-sealed in plastic wrap. Why can't I just shut up? I see.
I'm kind of silent for explanations on the lyrics here, mostly because, well, for two reasons. I wrote these so long ago that I forgot a lot of the reasons why I wrote them, but also because I wanted this song to be kind of like about the overwhelming amount of stuff that happens in life. So, a lot of these lyric choices were just random. Like, I chose them because they sounded good. You know, that sometimes my approach to writing, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's the Red Hot Chili Peppers that do this. They write their lyrics with phonetics in mind instead of meaning. And for this song, I liked that approach, and I thought that the randomness of that was cool, and I wanted to attempt that with some lines. Of course, not all. You can very clearly tell the meaning behind some of the lines. I've even said that some lines reference other songs that I've made. But a lot of them I just chose because they sounded cool. Like Your Deal Pre-Sealed in Plastic Wrap. I just like... I liked how that sounded. It doesn't really mean anything. You know?
Scared about your own future. Corner sons tell me you have a while.
Now that I say it, I do have an explanation for that line. Corner sons tell me you have a while. You know how kids draw their sons, like in drawings, they draw their sons in the corner, is like that quarter circle with all the spikes off of it? That was basically me saying to the person that I'm talking to in this song, you draw your sons in the corner of the paper. You shouldn't be scared about your future yet. Or like, you're still a kid. You shouldn't be focusing on your future yet, you know? You drawing your sons in the corners telling me that you have a while until you have to worry about your future.
Pink lemonade stands, making a garage band, spending all the money that you have in your hand.
Then that's a continuation of like the childish aspects of this verse.
But I'm tired of the voices bugging me about getting the first kiss. And I'm telling you she's okay, she's just trying.
That's a genuine mistake. But I kept it in
Someone's telling me my heart has never been this sore before. And you're the one I can't forget. I'm sorry that I let you go.
Now, there's a bit of silence between the two parts because they're pretty different. I didn't want to have a harsh transition, so I just kept it silent. There we go. No, this is not the first instance of drums on here being used. I use them in Horiath as well. I think I recorded this before Horiath, though. So this was my first time recording drums on this keyboard onto here. And I layered it. There's a function on this keyboard where you can layer two instruments. So I layered this cool, like, it's a violin that has an automatic pizzicato melody in it. So I layered that on top of the drums because I realized one day that a certain drum groove really sounded good. You'll hear the drum groove later on in the song. Here it is.
This is the calm before the storm.
These lyrics were improvised as well.
Waiting for the house to take its toll. I can't get away from this life. If I still have you around.
That last note was supposed to be a bit anticlimactic. It was supposed to be a bit dissonant because the drums were like falling apart. And this is my closest approximation of what Revolution 9 sounds like by the Beatles. Okay. This is the Illusory Fair. Now, I had this song in mind. For a very long time. And I came up with the title because I went to the Groton Fair and I was sharing pictures from it with my friends. And they were like, "What fair are you at?" Wasn't the McLean Fair a long time ago? Because it was like a month ago when I shared the pictures of it. And I decided it would be nice if I did not tell them. So it became kind of illusory to them. And I liked the sound of the Illusory Fair, you know. And I decided, I believe The Weeknd did this. He had this lifestyle of, you know, doing as many drugs as he could and, you know, doing all this really bad stuff. And he called that lifestyle the House of Balloons. And being a new artist who, when they say inspiration, they pretty much just, like, make songs that are direct copies of their favorite artists. I decided, man, I like calling a lifestyle like a physical thing. So I decided that this song would be titled The Illusory Fair and kind of be retrospective and say that the lifestyle that I was living when I was 12 to 13 was the Illusory Fair. It was kind of this like it was this like fun charade that was kind of illusory in its purpose. I don't know. Maybe I'm digging too deep into what I meant all those months ago. But yeah. I really like this song. It's the biggest song on the record, being 9.5 minutes. Yet it feels like one of the shortest to me personally. And I really like it. So here we go. Kind of an abrupt start.
Talk about religion. There's a naked wants to go. I don't wanna be another hymn on a whim. You talk about the radio. This is how I burn my tongue on the street lights while your body is hung.
I could not explain that
Break the
line.
ladder.
This is how I get my tongue stuck on the streetlight while your body is hung. That's another example of me writing something just because I thought it sounded cool phonetically.
When you stare on its most important rung. She said she likes North Dakota. It's colder, do you need a shoulder to lean on? Keep on keeping on closer. Let me be older. Every time I look back, there's no regret in me having told her. And I move along, writing songs.
This might be
about
my first explanation of something musically going on along and not like meaning, but I really like this part. I used 6/8 drums, like drums in the time signature 6/8, on top of music that's in the time signature of 4/4. You can kind of hear it, how like it kind of makes it a bit more unpredictable, even though everything's staying consistent.
your shoes. You seem like you wear boots. I promised one day the memories wouldn't hold me. Now you do too. Every once in a while I visit her tree, and it frightens me how much I have forgotten. I'd like to go back and talk one more time in my life. Feel her hands holding mine. It's hard to grieve about somebody who didn't believe in an afterlife.
You know, there's something very true about that line. Of course, in these lines, I'm talking about my grandmother who passed away in 2017 from cancer. You know, I've heard my mother say it before. It's very difficult to grieve over somebody who is so very atheist and non-spiritual, you know. Well, I wouldn't say she's not spiritual. She was a very spiritual person, but she didn't believe that there was anything after death. So it makes it kind of difficult when you're thinking in terms of I'll see you again on the other side, you know, because I won't. You know, at least to her, I won't. So, you know, that makes it a lot more difficult. Yeah. That makes it a lot more difficult to, you know, be hopeful I guess. A bright side to it. And I think I found a bright side to it, and I'll get more into that when I talk about the short story. But it's just very difficult to, as I said, it's very difficult to grieve over somebody who didn't think there was anything on that other side. That overall, this song deals with priority, and how I've learned now, after spending a year prioritizing friends over family, that it's very important to know how much closer family is than friends, and how important it is to keep it that way.
In her mind, I will never see her again. I may never see her again. She said she likes North Dakota. It's colder, do you need a shoulder to lean on? Keep on keeping on, poster. Let me be older. Every time I look back, there's no regret in me having told her I'll never see her again. I'll never see you again. I hope to see her again. I shouldn't see you again. You'll never be her. I'll never see her again.
It's important to note here that I'm referring to different people when I say you, and when I say something like she or her. She or her is one person, and you is another person.
Never see you again. I hope to see her again. I shouldn't see you again. You'll never be her.
I wanted sort of a hopeful ending to this song.
I'll write you a letter when things get better. I'll write you It's hard to sing when you're crying. I would know, but thanks for trying. It's hard to breathe when you're pleading for a better year. Look at you, you're bleeding. I'll write you a letter when things get better. I'll write you a love song every time I get something wrong. It's hard to sing when you're crying. I would know, but thanks for trying. It's hard to breathe when you're pleading for a better year. Look at you, you're bleeding.
You know, I wanted to write this part of the song to sort of commend music for being able to be an outlet for sharing stuff like this. I don't think I would have ever been able to express this side of myself if it weren't for music and its ability to change people. And I commend it for that. You know, I'll write you a letter when things get better. I'll write you a love song for everything I get wrong. It's sort of me saying, you know, I turn to art whenever something good or bad happens. And it's a lot more healthy. It's a healthy way of dealing with it, I think. I turn to art and I'm able to express that with healthily. And in the cases of this, I'm able to share it with other people without it kind of being weird, just like telling them what's on my mind. Like, it would be kind of weird if I told my friends prioritizing family over friends has been a struggle for me, but I can tell them that through music, and I like me being able to share music with my friends. I like being able to tell these kinds of stories that this album tells, and being able to, you know, get better at something. This is my hobby, and my main goal when I make music is to get better at it every single time. And I think maybe not every single time, but I try to get better at it a lot of the time, and I think I am succeeding at that. And I wouldn't have really gotten to this point if it weren't for music in the first place. If it weren't for other people making music that I was able to relate to, then I wouldn't be in the situation that I am today. So, yeah. This part of the song is kind of just me thanking music and art overall for kind of helping me do that.
Da, 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 da.
There it is, that riff. The album's riff. The album actually has two riffs. Both the dun 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 riff and The Boys Are Struggling. The end of that actually foreshadows the chorus melody to the Illusory Fair. So, you know, the album kind of has two riffs for both of its parts, but there's very clearly one more important riff. Love Tale kind of had their riff with doom 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 doom. But this has the doom 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 doom. You know that riff. But yeah. Everything's okay for now. This was the second single that I dropped, and I dropped this single for a very important reason. I knew that it was going to be the last song on the record, so I wanted to release it because there was this album that Will Wood came out with, In Case I Make It, and the part that I loved about it is that it had this big musical theater climactic moment with the song Willard. And it was very clearly meant to be the climax of the album, but it wasn't the last song on the album. It was the second to last song. And the last song was not only much slower, but we had already heard it if we listened to all the singles. It was White Noise. And I thought that was a nice note to end on. A note of familiarity and a note of calmness. And it was also a note of hope. So I wanted to do the same thing, where I would release the song and I would have it be the last track right after this big finish with the Illusory Fair. And it's kind of this smooth, slow, kind of R&B track. This is a sample of an old video of me with my uncle. My uncle's pushing me on the swing.
I'm fine and I hope you are too.
Even more than Harath, this song
The mouse
feels like
ran
a
away
point
and
where
caught
I am like
too soon.
I'm
When I stood
at a
on your
point where I've come to
doorstep,
terms and I'm
holding
happy
a flower
with
in
who I am
my
now. I've come to terms with who I was then, and now I'm ready for the future.
I wished that I could.
Goliath was
see
the
you
moment that I
more.
came to terms with it, but Everything's Okay for Now was the point where I was ready for the future. And you know, if this album is meant to represent a person learning, then I think this is the song that represents
Everything's okay
them looking back
for
and
now.
realizing that they have learned. And they've learned for the better.
And I'm not sure it can get any better. Everything's okay for now. And my subtle hands keep writing these bold letters. Oh, the knife in your pocket suggests that you don't feel safe. No matter what, you go against what you're taught. When I stole your chocolate bar, you chased me down the hallway. Now I'm chasing after your heart. Let the music fill your lungs and mine. They coincide. There's no remainder to see the light. Oh my. If you told the truth, I'd be the first to renounce my faith. and yet you continue to claim that you feel no hate.
I like that line. If you told the truth, I'd be the first to renounce my faith, but you continue to claim you feel no hate. That's just me saying, if you'd stop lying, let me think of a good way to phrase this. If you stopped lying, I'd stop believing other people. I'd stop believing what other people say about you. But you continue to say that you don't feel hate towards anything, when it's clear that you do. I just like that because it feels so maturely petty. You know? It feels like, you know, it's someone in the right saying exactly what they want somebody to do and what would happen because of it. I just like the sort of aura that gives off. I wouldn't say petty.
Keep singing in the shower for all to hear.
I might say like a calm
If
version
I
of being
had
fed up,
arms,
you know?
I would pull you near.
You know, like I'm ready to say what I mean now.
Everything's okay for now, and I'm not sure it can get any better. Everything's okay for now, and my subtle hands keep writing these bold letters. You know for a fact that you have power over me. Turn on the lights before you shine. Everything's okay for now. Don't worry about the future, live in the moment before you go. Learn to be patient.
I like those final lines. It took me a while to write those. I just wanted to end it off with like, I've learned. Now it's time for you to learn. Right? And it's not meant to come across as mean. It's time to come. I meant for it to come across as like, I've learned. It's time for me to help you learn. You know? It wasn't meant to come across as like anything mean or anything like you will never learn. No, it's not supposed to be like that. It's supposed to be hopeful, you know? It's time that both of us change for the better, you know? Whoever that both of us is, me and somebody else, whoever that somebody else is, it's time for us to grow together, you know? So yeah, that's the entirety of You Met in the Foliage. I have decided that I will do the bonus track in its own video because it feels too important to a different. It's a much different message than You Met in the Foliage does. So I'm gonna do that in a separate video. That video will be like not that long, maybe like 15 minutes, maybe less. You know, it is only a 2.5 minute song, but there's a lot there. So yeah, thank you for listening. If you've got this far, good job. I'll blow you a kiss. Thank you for getting this far along in the video. I'll see you when I explain the 14-page short story. I'm not sure if I should read it out loud yet. I'll decide that later. Anyway, bye-bye.